So, Mark, it was all over the place. It was a media thing. But you apologized for one portion of that, and that was to Trayvon Martin's family, correct?
Yeah, and the reason I apologized is because I've met and spent time with his family, and when I said it, I hadn't considered that they might have to deal with all the media onslaught, and that's not fair to them. I mean, I know his brother. I tried to hire his brother. He's a super smart kid, and he's going to do amazing things. And I didn't feel, I hadn't considered the Martins, and I felt bad for that. And so for that reason, I owed them an apology. And let me be clear, no one asked me to apologize. I did it voluntarily because I'd made a mistake as far as the Martin family was concerned.
Mark, when you sit down and look back the interview, you say two things: being a bigot and being prejudicial. I think to me there's two totally different things.
They are.
So do you regret using the word bigot and just saying
No, what I meant was, the way I define them, Charles, is that, you're prejudiced when you have preconceived notions. You're bigoted when you take some sort of action. You're a racist when you take some sort of oppressive or derogatory or negatively impactful action against a race or group of people. So because I was bigoted because I was going across the street, that was an action and so that's the way I defined the three different words.
Okay. Hey, Mark, how you doing? I just probably have more of a commentary more than because this is the first time I actually saw it in its entirety. So I was taking some kind of mental notes and written notes. So it's more of a commentary and a question at the same time, because I really just felt that, I respect your comments for sure. But for me, it sounds more fearful and stereotypical than racist or bigotry, meaning like in my neighborhood or where I grew up, having a hood or having tattoos wasn't fearful for me. I have other fears that I probably express in other ways, but those two things, when I saw people like that, didn't really make me fearful. So I understand, but I always felt that Sterling was different in the sense that his fears, which turned into ignorance, did turn into racism because it's been documented. Only because he's done the housing. He's also mentioned that he wouldn't want them in the arena, African Americans. And then he had reverse racism when he told J.J. Redick that he doesn't think a white guy is worth that kind of money.
Look,
so to me,
I wasn't trying to compare it all to Donald Sterling at all. And remember, I said late at night with the hoodie. I don't care if somebody wears a hoodie. Golly, I mean, I couldn't associate with anybody. I don't care if it's a black kid, an orange kid, a green kid, a brown kid. Wearing a hoodie is inconsequential. It means nothing. The bigger point, and again, it was a bad example, and it was a wrong example, is Kenny, I don't care who you are. If you're walking down the street late at night, and I've been in that circumstance, it's not just a hypothetical, I've been there, and you see some kid that you think is threatening in any way, shape, or form, you're going to the other side of the street. Period, end of story. And I don't care what they're wearing, and I chose hoodie as an example. It was a poor example, but it was just an example. And as you heard in the tape, I went on to say other stereotypes, whatever they may be. It was just bad examples.
Right, and that was my point. But I just felt that carrying the stereotype or the look of someone, and then carrying it to the point where you act on it in terms of a negative way, in terms of you hold people back in different ways, that's prejudice, and that's why I was trying to think what Charles was saying.
Well, that's actually racism.
That's racism, right? That's racism. But being prejudiced, I'm prejudiced against people who didn't go to the University of North Carolina. I'm prejudiced against people from New York City. That's not from New York City. But I won't hold that accountable as a criterion for you being next to me, with me, or about me. But if you are, sometimes I like it.
Mark, this Shaq, I've been knowing you for a long time. I don't think you have a racist or bigot bone in your body. So in saying that, do you regret what you said? And if you do regret it, how would you restate it?
I wouldn't use the same examples. That was a mistake. But I don't regret a single thing that I said. I stand behind it 100%. Other than the examples, I would say the exact same thing over again. I'm proud of the fact that it started a discussion on racism. I'm proud of the fact that it created this firestorm and got people thinking about themselves and how they approach it. I would do it again, and I hope I get the chance to have this conversation many times. And I don't think I'm the person that's going to create change, but maybe, just maybe, there's a tiny chance that someone will be reflective on this topic and take the ball and run with it, and greater things will happen for this country.
Mark, a week from today in New York, you and the other NBA owners will be there to decide Donald Sterling's fate. How will you vote?
You know, we've got to go through due process. If we want this to play out and we want this to be done right, I trust Adam Silver and his staff to go through the exact process that needs to take place. And I'm going to trust Adam in the process, and I'll make a decision then. You know, I told this at Inc., I told people that I'd already decided, and that was more just to get all the questions stopped. I couldn't answer them, and I didn't want them to continue, but I don't know how I'm going to vote. I'm going to let the process go through. But again, I trust Adam and his staff to do it the right way in accordance with our bylaws, our Constitution, and the law.
Marc Cuban, thanks for joining us for the conversation. Always good to see you. And again,
thanks, guys.
Much thanks.
Thanks a lot.
And I really appreciate, let me just say, I really appreciate you guys running the interview and taking the time to watch it. That meant a lot to me, so thank you.
All right, buddy.
Anytime.
Without question, Mark, we got you.
Do we have to go to a commercial break?
That's up to Tim Kiley, our producer.
Tim, can I say something? But I want some time to say it, though. You know, Ernie, we've had this conversation on open court. Television gives us preconceived notions. Like every movie I watch, the Middle Eastern guy is going to be trying to blow up something. When I watch, one of my favorite shows is The Closers. All the Hispanics going to be in gangs. All the blacks are going to be in gangs. If I'm living somewhere in this country, we get beat over the head with racial stereotypes all the time. I mean, think about that. And I don't blame TV for all the ills of the world, but we all have preconceived notions. Because, like I say, when I get on a plane, I look who's sitting in first class with me. I ain't gonna lie.
No, but you know what? I think
stereotypes have been reinforced through the media.
They're reinforced.
Yeah, not only that, I think Mark made those comments based on fear. It had nothing to do with race.
I agree.
I'm walking across the street, I see somebody with a hood, it's dark.
It was more of a stereotype.
Based on fear, not on race. Not, oh, he's a black guy with a hood. I'm thinking like, walking late at night, you see somebody with a hood, you're not going to walk on that side of the street.
The thing I kept saying is, we all have preconceived notions, and sometimes we profile people for sure. But when you take those profiles and you move on them, the way Donald Sterling has done, and his housing, it's documented.
Oh, no question.
The way he's moved
that's
on
racism.
Inside, that is when you can't have someone in power.
No question.
But when you don't realize that you're moving in that direction either, then your ignorance is so far gone. Because yes, in the movies, when I was watching cartoons, the good guys wore white and the bad guys wore black. So, yes, you have a preconceived notion, but you carry it on and you're 50 years old, 80 years old, and you haven't learned that that's not the way the world works, then something's wrong with you.
Our thanks once again to Marc Cuban for joining us.